Thank you for tuning in to Roll Call. The movie you selected is 6 Degrees of Separation, starring Will Smith.
All right, everyone, are we ready? We have our bevies. We're good.
I'm as ready as the Wild West was.
Yes.
All right, scene. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Roll Call, the show where two childless millennials gush over movies and follow an actor's journey from their early years.
Because, let's face it, we're all just chasing the power trip that you felt. Hold on. When you mounted your big steampunk tarantula and rode it to Blockbuster to go pick up Wild Wild West.
Wow. Really have nowhere. Bria, you won with that opening line.
There's not enough gas right now in the marketplace for that tarantula.
We're running on coal, baby. That's all we need.
Can I park my tarantula next to this Tesla? Is this proper parking?
That was a missed opportunity for a Blockbuster commercial. I'm just saying.
Totally.
Or, is that my Bessie and tarantula?
Beep, beep.
Is that my Bessie and tarantula? Come on, girl. Climb over all the steps. Get in. We're going to Blockbuster.
Oh my God, I love it. What's up, everybody? I'm Bria, and I hope that this episode is a breath of fresh ass. I mean, sorry, air.
Breath of fresh air.
And I'm Simone, and as I stared, I counted all the times they mentioned spiders. But for real, this movie had so many spiders.
Spiders of emotion. Always.
Oh my goodness. Well, as y'all can tell, today's going to be a very extra special episode. So I hope everyone listening, you upgraded your popcorn to a jumbo tub. Just a little fun background story. Julie and I have known each other since kindergarten, and not saying our ages, but it's been a long time since we've known each other. And so it's been my mission since Bria and I started this pod to get Julie and Joe on. Such a delight.
Aw, yay. And at least we can let the fans know that we were friends before the Wild Wild West.
That's right.
Damn.
Our friendship dates Wild Wild West.
It really
Yes.
does move over well. Okay.
BWWW. W.
Will, I don't know him. Take us away. What are we going to talk about today?
In today's episode, we'll chat about Will Smith in the 1999 steampunk cowboy western action film Wild Wild West. So, let's take a trip back to June of 1999.
All right, so for today's pop culture corner from me, similarly to how we did it for Men in Black, we are also blessed with a toy line for Wild Wild West. The first toy line came by X Toys, and it also has a similar background story to the Men in Black line. This line of toys had a very limited shelf life from 1999 to 2000, having only produced 4 other toy lines until they closed shop. This toy line may have contributed to the closing of the company due to the very slow sales. We all know that Wild Wild West is a funny and complicated movie, which many people kind of tribute to the mixed reviews and less commercial success of film. So this toy line came out. I have the pictures posted in our doc. So we have an Artemus Gordon with a hidden message shell. And an Artemus Gordon with retinal terminus projector. That was the eyeball machine of the severed head.
That was a toy?
That was a toy. That's right. It came.
Box.
Yes, and those were packaged like what we call boxed or bubble toys, because it had the cardboard backing with that plastic overview. We also have a Dr. Loveless with a spider blaster, and so he literally, it's like his wheelchair but then with the spider legs attached to it, including We also have a General McGrath, which I don't know why they decided to make that asshole into a toy, but General McGrath toy with the capture disc slinger. That's the like big Captain America looking shield with the spider on it. There's also a James West toy with the power escape hook and a James West demo pool ball. That's that like magic 8-ball. We have a Rita Escobar toy with a venom splitting arthropod and a derailleur tank with a Dr. Loveless Desert Wasp Nitro Cycle James West, which I know it's a really big, there's a lot of words in there, but the packaging of this is fun. In the like main cardboard packaging, it's a kind of what we talked about last week, Bria, with like the techno action films where everything blue. It's Will Smith and Kevin Kline on the front of the packaging, and then the bubble wrap of it. Unfortunately, Salma Hayek is underrepresented picture-wise on this toy line, but
I know what the hell.
yes,
Yeah,
I don't.
this guy with spider legs is getting.
Oh my gosh. Well, in cahoots with the X toy line, Burger King hopped on the Wild Wild West fandom and released their toy line in 1999 with their kids' meal menu items. And there were 6 toys originally released. We have Artemus Gordon on the Rocket Rider, so that's his like big steampunk bicycle. This motorcycle features a secondary protagonist, Artemus Gordon, riding a rocket style rocket rider. The Rocket Rider is depicted a form of a rocket steam powered bicycle used by the character in the film, but the toy is powered by neither rocket, steam, nor pedals, just relying on far more sophisticated friction engine toy common. So basically it's one of the things that you like pull back and then it goes and shoots.
But the chicken fries help the gluberation of the machine.
You
Chicken
just
fries around then?
No, they weren't. It was
But that BK Kids meal.
the BK Kids meal, you just like wipe your little greasy fingers on the table and that shit will go real fast.
I was totally thinking about that when I watched the commercials. I was like, there was nothing like, you know, getting your paws all greasy, then biting into the plastic bag of your toy, whipping that out. Then you're like on the floor in a Burger King, like, you know, playing, or you're fighting with somebody because they got the toy you wanted.
I get that shit.
The second toy in the Burger King toy line was Rita on a stagecoach. This is a far less imagined toy. It's like, again, like throwing the women characters under the bus, but it was a favorite of the more highbrow collectors of this line, weirdly enough. It has Rita Escobar atop a stagecoach. It's just, interestingly enough, the coach is unattached to any horse. The toy are otherwise and therefore incapable of motion, so you have to pick it up and make it go. It's not one of those things that you can pull back and it shoots. It just is one of those things, like the wheels don't move. It's just a solid piece that you move yourself. So
Use your imagination.
yes.
You don't want to rough the girl up, you know.
She's just the breast part of the jacket.
The third toy is James West on a horse. This toy features the likeness of Will Smith as James West riding on his black horse. The finely sculpted haunches of the horse contrast well with Smith's like stoic features, it lending an air very like seriousness, which kind of ironically rendered part. We also have a secret spy pen, which I think they're kind of recycling from the Men in Black toys line. And this was kind of the biggest ticket item since it was a functional piece of toy. A state-of-the-art weapons-grade spy pen included the Wild Wild West series, features innovative and visionary features that have been a game changer in modern international espionage, including such spy devices as a laser pointer, cell phone, wood saw, Geiger counter, miniature flute, blah, blah, blah. I'm just reading off what they say, but
That can't be real. I think that is satire.
oh, totally. Oh, no. This is like written. I think this was written on the back of the packaging. And so they're like trying to sell it to you.
Okay. Because I'm reading like some of the features and I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's very silly.
Capabilities.
It's essentially a clicky pen for kids. We're gonna call it a spy pen, but in addition, we also have a gold rapid fire squirter, and this is the gold fire squirter from the toy. It's considered a point of contention within the Wild Wild West community? Question mark, because that exists in regards to whether it's golden and rapidly squirts fire or rapidly squirts golden fire. But the toy does not obviously squirt any real fire at all, in the dismay of fans. We also have a tarantula tank, iconic of the film. We have James West on his horse, and also released in this line, which has nothing to do with the film, but maybe for people who wanted something else besides a Wild Wild West toy, was a tiger poster, which went with Burger King's conservational efforts.
For all you zoo pet kids. Simone, did you also see the commercial for the sunglasses? Because that I was
yes.
like, I totally would right here, baby.
Will's glasses were so cool in this. So yeah, those were also I don't know if they were officially included. I don't think they were. I think that was false advertisement.
No, I think they're like when Burger King did cups, like they were $1.99 in the commercial. So it was like a separate thing. Like you could wear James West's sunglasses from Wild Wild West for just $1.99 at Burger King.
And you get a Sprite.
I bet you if you put those on, it'd be like wearing the Mr. Potato Head glasses. Like they'd be way too small for your face. It'd be like super
Frame's just stressed out. Like, oh my God, I can't.
She ate way too many chicken fries. I can't fit in her face anymore. All right.
Bennett chicken fry.
The
king. Yeah. Fucking king from Burger King.
But also, what if he wore a burger crown?
Then
Remember
you
the
While
Burger King crown?
having a smoke of your favorite chicken.
Remember when you got the crown? Like they gave out like the fucking
Yes.
crown?
Well, that's as far as we have for this toy line. But Bria, you also can go ahead and take us away on your special pop culture corner.
Going to the dark side, the black side. All right. Not too much because Wild Wild West, we're going to have plenty to talk about. But Will Smith, the cover man that he is, was on a few magazine covers and in a few magazines because this movie became like a laughing stock. So later on in August of 1999, our cover girl, Jennifer Lopez, on Vibe. But there's a beautiful caricature of Will Smith on a horse, looking very sad and disappointed as they talk about all of these TV shows turned movies that were bust, including Wild Wild West. You also have The Mask of Zorro, I believe, and like My Little Martian. And so people are like, why do these boomers keep making these movies about TV shows no one gives a fuck about? So
Nothing has changed either.
Right? So I was like, I don't think we've learned anything since then, really. We've just moved on to movies that keep getting remade for nostalgic purposes. We've got number one hits of 1999. I'm going to focus on the summer. In June through July 16th, Jennifer Lopez, If You Had My Love, was a number one song. Destiny's Child, Bills, 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 again, July 17th through July 23rd, number one hit. Of course, Will Smith with Wild Wild West was a number one hit July 24th through July 30th. And then Christina Aguilera snuck in on the 31st through September or August and had Genie in a Bottle as a number one bop of the 99. So
that was 99 and not 98.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, last episode I talked about how I didn't know that her, like, the reason she got a record contract was because of Reflections from Mulan.
Oh yeah, when will my reflection?
Woo, me this week.
Where's my record deal?
So, also, Jet Magazine, Will Smith, Salma Hayek, and Kevin Kline are on the cover, but they're on the cover, I believe, in August and not in July or around when the movie came out. But the July covers are Natalie Cole, Shantae Moore, and Chris Rock. So
Damn.
you're right. It's just always full circle with that Oscar slap. So from Natalie Cole's issue, July 5th, we have the top 20 albums. Number 1, The Art of Storytelling by Slick Rick, a classic coming back and killing it in the game. Then we have Rough Riders, Ready to Die, Volume 1.
Nice.
You know, we were all introduced to Eve around this time. And DMX, RIP. In Our Lifetime, 8 Ball and MIG. No clue who that is.
They bought MJG. They're fucking, where are they from? Texas.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Good job.
And then we have I Am by Nas, No Limit, Top Dog by Snoop Dogg. He's no longer on death row. He's on No Limit with Master P. This album artwork, please go Google it because it looks like every Cash Money No Limit record cover where it just I don't even know how they photoshopped that back in the day, but it's just like overkill of graphic design. And then I'm going to close it out with Fan Mail by TLC because no scrubs, baby. And then I put in this lovely ad from the Chris Rock cover of Jet. You know, a great deal. Get 5 movies for 99 cents each. This stood out because we got some J-Lo movies in here. We got Ants, we got Out of Sight, Titanic, the double VHS set, the Rugrats movie.
I know what you did last summer. Zorro, Meet Joe Black, Armageddon. There's some good shit on here. Rush Hour.
There's so many. There's so many good ones, and I'm just like, how did you pick 5? Like.
But that's how they get you, because then you'll pick 10 for $2, or you know, like that's how they get you.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole. And then what I pulled from the cover that Will and Salma and Kevin are on for June of 1999 is this beautiful Blockbuster ad where you could win at least $11 million just because every time your card is scanned, you're automatically entered. And I text Simone before we started, and I was like, you know, Netflix ain't doing this, baby.
Netflix is just robbing us blind and thinking that they can get away with it. And they're just like, ooh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to secretly add an extra $3 surcharge per person. Ooh, and you know what? We're going to sprinkle in some commercials. But if you don't want commercials, you can now spend this much a month.
And also, all your friends, they're off your plan.
Yeah.
No more family plan. You cannot ride this wave.
Your mom was watching that show, not anymore.
Different profile, but yeah. Fuck you. Goddamn.
Yeah. Who's the shark on Disney Plus?
Oh my God. Yeah, no. Netflix is slowly shooting themselves in the foot, a la Blockbuster in the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
But in conclusion to Will's Jet cover, we also have a GQ cover, Men of the Year. We've got Will, Tom Hanks, and I can't quite make out who this is, but some other white guy.
I'm trying to, it's not Patrick Dempsey. Oh, it's Dylan McDermott. That's who it is.
See, I knew it was a D and an M.
Yeah.
Dermot Mulroney, Dylan McDermott.
Yeah, Dylan McDermott. Yeah.
Yes.
Dylan McDermott.
He was like American Horror Story, but obviously he's been like
And
a bunch
his
of
stepmother, Eve Ensler, wrote the Vagina Monologues. Fun fact.
What?
So put that in your trivia box and smoke it, Simone.
Thank
He
you.
really hasn't aged either.
No.
He looks good. I kind
Yeah.
of have a crush on Dylan.
Elani.
Yeah,
All
but
looks the same.
Albright and Dylan McDermott have a baby.
there's a clip of Will jumping in the air, but he's in this brown outfit and looking very Nickelodeon, all that, but suave.
Avoiding a slime.
What are those shoes?
I don't know. I do know that when I looked through the Vibe magazines that there were lots of ads for lugs and all kinds of boots at that time.
Lugs.
So
I remember those. Yeah.
But the bottoms of these shoes are throwing me for the loop because the top look like Tim's, but the bottoms are like wavy, like a Skechers.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
They're probably like some bougie ass fashion house's take on wallabies. It's like Gucci for Wallies, like
Wallabies. Oh my God.
Rocco's Modern Life for Wallies.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we know. I'm curious to know, what our individual ratings. But before we get into our ratings of this movie, Bria, what did our man Lil Raj have to say about the?
Woo, man! Lil Raj loaded the choppa and let it sing for Wild Wild West. He just comes out the gate like ripping. I mean, you don't even have to read the rest of his review. Just the beginning will suffice. This is a 1-star rated movie.
Out of 4, correct?
Yes, out of 4.
Lately in the podcast, there's been a discussion. I heard.
Yes.
it was 5 and out of 4. Okay.
Yes. Simone's trying to give extra credit where there is none.
Sorry. That's
Yes.
why we're the great value version of Inside the Extra Studio.
Just 1 star. So as of June 30th, 1999, this is how Lil Raj opened up his diss track for Wild Wild West. Wild Wild West is a comedy dead zone. You stare in disbelief as scenes flop and die. The movie is all concept and no content. The elaborate special effects are like watching money burn on the screen. You know something has gone wrong when a story is about 2 heroes in the Old West, and the last shot is of a mechanical spider riding off in the sunset. He goes on to say about the acting and portrayals, which I feel like he felt bad for them. He says, there are moments when all artifice fails, and you realize you are regarding desperate actors trapped on the screen, fully aware they've been left hanging out to dry. Consider an early scene where Will Smith and a sexy girl are embracing in a water tank when the evil general rides into town. Smith is made to watch the action through a knothole while continuing to make automatic mid-air smooching movements with his lips, as if he doesn't realize he's not still kissing the woman. He's so shady.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, he has nothing good to say really about this movie. I think really his big issue is most people's issue, which is like the overabundance of special effects, and like, do we really need that? And the inventions and the look and feel of the scenes and settings. But yeah, this was not one of his faves, and it's so much so that Simone had found that it made him and Siegel's worst list of movies in '99.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this movie was definitely a doozy. So Lil Raj, I think agreeably gives this a 1 star. Bria, how many pumps of butter would it be?
I'm gonna give it 2. I'm gonna give it 1 because I agree with Lil Raj, so really 1. But I'm gonna give Will a star because I feel like I understand where he was coming from in terms of taking on this role in this movie. So I feel like there needs to be points in terms of that. We don't tend to see a lot of westerns with black cowboys. I mean, Django came like decades later, and The Hate We Give on Netflix. Am I saying the right?
The Hate You Give, I think.
Yeah.
Based off the book, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like he was a little ahead of his time, so he should get points for that. And the bop that is the theme song, Wild Wild West. So.
All right, out of 4 pumps, Julie, how many pumps of butter would you give this one?
Well, originally I was going to say 1. But I do like Bree's explanation about the times. It was a different time for a black person doing a Western. I love her explanation on that. But I haven't said what the fuck so many times in a movie in a while, so I'm going to stick to my 1 pump of butter. Yeah.
All right. Joe?
Jesus hot sauce Christmas cake. This is
It's out of 4.
This is the Popeyes no no water
Dry biscuit.
Biscuit situation. It's just like there's no lubrication, just forces the popcorn in your mouth, so there's no
butter.
It's
at
a
all.
dry butter.
It's just, here you go. Here's this tasteless, butterless, saltless popcorn being forced upon you, and also you have to pay money for this.
Wow. That might be the best pump of butter or non-pump of butter.
That's better than my aunt's review because you're basically just raw dogging the popcorn, no butter, all dry.
He's healthy. He cares about himself. He cares about himself. He's like, absolutely not. I'm not drenching this in butter.
He doesn't care about his partner, though. Raw dog with no lube.
No lube.
That's his disrespect.
That's just like, what
I'm not
this?
made of rubber. You know what I mean? That's what that person was saying if you had no butter.
It's just like, it's like fucking Bethany at the cookout, like bringing the fucking mashed potatoes with the raisins in it, and you're like, dog, what the fuck?
Dog, Bethany.
You didn't need to, and then you added like some weird other like contraption to this shit, like, oh yeah, it's got crab legs in it too. It's like, Bethany, what the fuck?
Well, Bethany married your black uncle, and she's part of the family now. So,
and I guess she's here at the cookout, and we all got to deal with her when she gets here. And that's what this movie was.
Yeah.
You cannot. Okay, all right, everybody. I'm gonna say something brave and controversial. This is a safe space.
Uh-oh.
Why do you do this?
Because we all need a problematic child on the show, and I will be that person gladly. So,
absolutely.
Similarly, I'm not gonna listen. I'm stand by what I say. Similarly to what I said about Independence Day, this does not get a full 4 pumps of butter. However, I saw this movie in 1998, was clearly mesmerized by it because I did not see all the things that were wrong with it. As I've gotten older, I realized that this movie is wrong in every single way possible. It could never be remade. At least the dialogue cannot be repeated in our Lord of 2022 year. However, it's one of those movies where it is so bad that it's comically good. I get the LOLs. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me ask a lot of questions. And for that, I'm giving it 3 pumps, bitches.
Wow.
I said what I said. You cannot invite me. You cannot invite me to your wedding. But you know what? Like, listen, this movie is complicated and terrible, but it's like in some weird way a fun ride, because by the end of it you're still just like, oh wait, what did I just watch? And I don't know, it took me on a journey continuously every single time I've watched this, because unlike y'all, I've seen this many times. And it still surprises me and leaves me puzzled. So I'm giving it 3 pumps.
Wow, that was a ride, much like the tarantula.
I was gonna say, like, were you on this ride? Were you imagining being on the tram?
No, more. Honestly, the majority of my ratings goes to what you had said about Will taking on this role in a historically role that's been taken. I mean, we know Wild Wild West was a movie recreation of a 1960s like spaghetti western TV show that was on for a long time. I think it's really awesome that he unfortunately turned down the lead role in The Matrix in order to take this movie, in which he says is one of his like biggest mistakes, aside from the Oscars of this year, of his choices so far that he's made. But I think that this movie boasts a lot of really fun and imaginative practical effect. Now, they didn't shoot a lot on location. Like, they couldn't really drive out to the desert or to some like actual scenery and setting. It's very clear that this movie is filmed in the Warner Brothers backlot studios with, you know, late 1700s, early 1800s style saloons and buildings and stuff. Those are easy to like build up and create and then blow up as well. But the practical effects of a lot of the mechanical systems, the gadgets, Will put himself through a lot of actual stunts in this movie with the train. The train was an actual moving real train. I'm a big fan of practical magic and practical effects in movies. Yes, there's definitely some outdated CGI. It's very clear when they're walking through a lot of the scenery that it is just a like green screen backdrop. But for a lot of this movie, I feel like the big part of the budget goes to some of these props. So I'm going to use that as a segue. Bria, what are some of these box office numbers?
So, infamously, Wild Wild West had a budget of $170 million.
Oh, no! Oh,
Yes.
no!
Yes.
How much of the budget was for that guy's nasty ass ear? Questions, girl. That was
Haunted me
unappetizing.
forever.
And Kenneth Branagh's barber doing his facial hair. Opening weekend in the United States and Canada of July 4th, 1999 was $27.6 million. U.S. gross in Canada, $113.8 million, and gross worldwide is $222.1 million. So it bombed opening weekend, almost made its money back in the US and then made its money back worldwide, but nothing to the likes of Independence Day and Men in Black, which is what Will's pattern and like his drive probably to do this movie was. It's a movie that has special effects, creatures, action, comedy, and that was sort of his like recipe for success at this time. And I think he had to reevaluate that after this.
Yeah.
Even his watching you talk right now, his face is very humbled next to you. He's like, I'm ashamed.
He's like, I know this movie ain't do shit. I'm sorry.
I'm trying. I got a hat tilt.
I tried really hard.
I look good, don't I? I mean, hey, that counts for something.
So for those who haven't seen this movie, Bria's gonna read our summary for us. This movie is PG-13, as a running time of 1 hour and 45 minutes. It was distributed by Warner Brother Pictures and directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, whose name came up and when we were covering Here Come the Men in Black. So unfortunately a swing and a miss. But Bria, for those who haven't seen Wild Wild West or don't want to for the sake of this show, what is this movie about?
Well, Jim West, played by Will Smith, is a guns-a-blazing former Civil War hero. Artemus Gordon, played by Kevin Kline, is an inventive U.S. Marshal who excels in disguise. When the United States and their top scientists are threatened by psychotic, spider-loving steampunk, butthurt Confederate Arliss Loveless, played by Kenneth Branaugh, President Ulysses S. Grant teams the duo up to bring him to justice on a hazard-packed train journey filled with magnets, mud, knives, and trapdoor gadgets and gizmos aplenty. The West and Gordon team up with the mysterious and beautiful Rita Escobar, played by Salma Hayek, who claims that Loveless has kidnapped her father, who, I must note, turns out to be her husband, ? The three must combine their skills to stop Loveless and his diabolical spider machines. Will West and Gordon stop the sadistic Loveless, or will they get trapped in the spider's web? Wild Wild West is brought to you in part by cringy 90s humor that makes us go, yoicks, when we see it today. Elements of old spaghetti westerns, booby traps, lots of fun practical effects shot on the Warner Brothers backlot, and so many damn spiders. What the fuck, Barry Sonnenfeld?
Honestly, I'm glad you gave us a explanation of that movie was about, because like there's so many notes out where I'm like, what is this about?
Yeah.
Like I was like, wait, like I knew he was like a master of disguise. Will Smith was an agent, blah blah blah. But then it was like, what?
Yeah. The plot is lost.
It is lost. If you had to ask me, I would say it was all of the racist white people who lost the Civil War were butthurt about losing that war and wanted revenge. And it was Kenneth Branaugh who lost his like second half of his body and wanted to, I don't know, just like take revenge out on the rest of the United States for that. And then, but so for those who don't know, I mean, movie critic, I mean, like big like movie people kind of know that this movie was inspired by an original pitch by Barry Sonnenfeld, who really wanted to do a Superman starring Nick Cage, and Nicolas Cage would have played Superman, who would have fought a giant spider. And when he pitched this movie to the execs in Warner Brothers, they were just like, that's a hard fucking pass, Barry. Like,
good for them.
No. And he was just like, okay, fine, I'm gonna make my own movie. And so then was born Wild Wild West. So if you listen to the music, it teeters along the line of a Superman theme song. So if you listen at least to the opening credits, you're like, oh, that sounds like sick, which was kind of his like fuck you love letter to Warner Brothers. But they still agreed to at least produce and release the movie. And I'm assuming that at some point the WB store at the mall or the WB store in like Universal may sell or have sold Wild Wild West at some point.
Let's talk about the trailer because, you know, did we know what we were going into before we watched this?
You know, okay, so I think when you're watching this as a kid, I don't think that you really fully realized a lot of the historical context that was going on. And so as a kid, I think you're more mesmerized with the trailer with all of the gadgets. We see them wearing the big metal magnetized collars. We see the fun little like flips and switches and booby traps in the train. We see the beautiful Salma Hayek also playing a role. Like as a kid, I remember seeing this trailer and being like, I don't know what this is about, but I liked Men in Black. I have high hopes for this movie. This looks like Men in Black, but like told through the perspective of a cowboy tale. It's like a buddy cop film. I'm down. So I feel like even though there were a lot of adult elements and things that definitely went over our heads as kids seeing this movie, the trailer made it seem like it was a lot more family and child friendly than this movie actually is.
Yeah, I feel like as a kid for sure it is definitely appealing. But, like, as an adult, it's just, like, Will Smith doing all this, like, shit in this movie.
Yeah,
like, he's on a train. He's under a train. There's explosions. He's riding a horse. There's a giant tarantula. Oh, hey, there's Salma Hayek. Like, there's just so much going on. And then even the trailer, it's like, what is the movie about? It's just like one of those hijinks trailers where it's just like, there's so much going on. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be fun. And it's like, but what is the premise? Like, why are we in a Western? Like, tell me something.
Yeah.
Let me know. So if I saw this trailer now, I think too they were just banking on Will and his bankability. Like it's like, oh, Will's got a new movie. Okay, that's probably gonna be good. I'll go see that. And a lot of people did. It wasn't like it was a bomb opening weekend, but it was the #1 movie, and he had the like J-Lo, he had the #1 movie and the #1 album at the same time thanks to this fucking song. So I mean, there's a little bit of accomplishment there. Like,
was this the same year as Big Willie Style?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Just confirming.
No.
Willennium.
Willennium has Wild Wild West. Yeah.
Okay,
Big Willie Style was like 97, 98, right?
Yes.
So,
So, Will 2K, baby. But, yeah.
Which will be our next episode. After this
2K
one.
minus Slap plus West divided by Tarantula. I know, I'm talking about.
Sponsored by WD-40.
Sponsored by Squash and
I got some creaky legs.
Nair to shave all your legs.
Are your breast implants too stiff? Drop out that buckwheat and put in some water.
Oh.
Are we on that yet? Are we on the moments?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's just get into it.
Let's just get into it.
Because shit.
Just shit. So Wild Wild West, before we go into the thick of it, of the plot, and this cast, we see a lot of great familiar faces. Will Smith plays James West. Kevin Kline plays Artemus Gordon. And the President of the United States. He is like a double duo for whatever reason that was. I don't know, but I find that interesting and fun. Kenneth Branaugh, for Harry Potter fans, plays Gilderoy Lockhart in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
He looks unrecognizable. Like,
it's that fucking beard, dude. I swear, I will pay Kevin money if he can, like, shave it like that. I just think that would be so hilarious and funny. Salma Hayek plays the beautiful Rita Escobar. Ted Levine, who's in a bunch of stuff, plays that scary son of a bitch, General McGrath, or Bloodbath McGrath, as they call it, with the phonograph ear.
Wasn't he in Pirates?
He might like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Of the Caribbean. Yeah, I thought he was the guy with the octopus face. Maybe I'm wrong.
No.
He was in Silence of the Lambs, Shutter Island, The Fast and the Furious.
Yeah,
he was Sergeant Tanner.
He's in a bunch of shit. But kind of unrecognizable in this movie, I think, thanks to some of the makeup and the prosthetics of it. He's
and he's dirty.
He's dirty. That's what I mentioned too. That like what creeps me out about this time of history is that everyone's just greasy and grimy, and like going to that brothel, like. Ugh. No one's been showering. You know their dick has all kinds of funk on it, but like, listen, a lady's got to make $1.
Girl, I'd be like, put it anywhere but my mouth. Like that's disgusting. Like,
the pHs in that brothel just off.
I was just talking about the history of STDs with my 7th graders because we were talking. We were talking about the Columbian Exchange, and I am #not afraid to go there because I'm like, listen, yes, smallpox and the measles were transmitted, but so were STDs. And they're like, they're STDs. I was like, sexually trans brought them over and gave them to indigenous folks. And they were just like,
white people in again.
I was like, yeah, it's a dark part of history that we don't talk about, but I'm not going to pretend that it didn't happen. Just like we're not going to pretend that there wasn't a lot of yeast infections in this brothel. Nasty as shit.
Oh my god.
So let's just get into
Brought to you by Monistat.
Brought to you by
moms.com.
Y'all sponsored yet? Because I mean,
no.
Time to get on that train. Monistat, y'all. It's
a train of Will Smith on the train, like putting Monistat in. He's like,
Oh my god. So let's just get into it. This plot's bananas. The happenings in this movie are wild. What are our thoughts? Just, I mean, obviously about the storyline, but also like Will Smith's acting choices and his character in particular. What do we think?
That's a loaded question.
I know. Okay, so maybe, I don't know, how do we want to do this? We just want to break it down like scene by scene, things that stuck out to us.
I will say what stuck out to me was that there was times during the brothel scene, like, you know, he comes in and like starts fighting everyone for no
fighting everyone.
He punches and kicks his way through a lot of people.
It's like, wait, there's no reason. He's like, "Ma!"
But there were people, literally, there were people that were just having sex and just came out to see what happened, and he beat the shit out of them. I was like, that was a choice. Why is he kicking their ass? He didn't have anything to do with it. They were just like, yeah, I was just trying to see what's going on. Oh, bitch. Oh, shit.
Get your ear back.
Nobody was safe. Nobody was safe.
Nobody was
Not
safe.
even the goat that was brought into that threesome.
A goat? Did I miss
didn't
that?
you hear? He was just like, oh, you don't want to hear that. And they opened up the door and it was like, ah. It was like an animal got into the mix that night.
That goat got a UTI too. Shit. Damn, that yoga's not that yoga. That goat, not yoga. Wow.
Don't drink that goat's milk.
No.
Don't drink that yak.
That's a different kind of goat's cheese going on.
That ain't goat's cheese. That's a goat's UTI, baby.
Oh God. Just the visuals of that.
I'm thinking cottage cheese for dinner.
Oh man, I'll never eat again.
Chunky. So
I'll never eat again.
It's funny you brought up Pirates of the Caribbean because a lot of the stunts in this movie I call Pirates of the Caribbean like style stunts, where it was like a lot of practical stunts, but like childlike, I guess, in a way.
Swashbuckling.
Yeah, there's a lot of swinging from things, jumping, extra pushes of gravity where gravity wasn't actually a factor in that scenario. And I think a lot of that has to do with some of the fun like props and gadgets that were in in the movie. I think that's kind of how they were able to really get away with this as a kid's movie, because I don't know about you, but I remember when I was a kid, one of my favorite pastimes was making like booby traps and little like mazes and things, like, you know.
Okay, Simone.
Like,
I did too. I thought that leprechauns were gonna kill me, and on St. Pat, because I was very scared of leprechauns when I was 8, and I made a trap for them. And my teacher said that leprechauns were very mischievous. So I put a sign that said, "Do not steal my bouncy balls," because I'm like, that will entice them. And I put a bucket of bouncy balls. And I put a sign, "Do not take my bouncy balls." And I put a stick and a Dixie cup and a string so they'd come and would catch them. But I was up all night concerned that the leprechauns would be in my house.
How big do you think the leprechauns
at
were?
around 3 a.m. I took it down because I could not go to bed. And I thought the leprechauns were going to get me.
Like, we're talking like the movie, like Warwick Davis
No,
leprechaun?
we're talking like the little green men. I suppose
Someone didn't eat Lucky
like
Charms as a kid.
I don't care if they're that big. They could come and stick it still.
You thought they were this big?
I don't know, but I was 8, and I was very I was also very concerned that the dog from the Never Ending Story was under my bed and was gonna fly away with my bed.
That dog was massive.
You guys are very imaginative.
But I loved all the gadgets in this movie with like the shoe, and he has the little spur spinning wheel gadget thing that gets Salma Hayek out of the cage. There's lots of little like hidden things under the sleeves with this little.
I did note that I wanted that. I was like super impractical because I do have an iPhone, but I wouldn't be mad if I could be like, hold on, like, and take a note.
Yeah, I don't know. I just loved all the little bits and bobs and pieces that they had, and the fact that they built this train that they ride through Utah was like a real train, real working train with lots of like different kind of buttons and stuff. I just remember as a kid like going over to someone's house and looking like, oh, is that a secret door somewhere? Like pulling different things, if that was going to be like, maybe it's just the Inspector Gadget kid in me, but like,
yeah. This Inspector Gadget came out, and it was also on Ebert's worst movies of '99.
And we talked about
with
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, it's a shit show. But we were talking about with like Men in Black and stuff. This is kind of the era of like spy shit. So we get Harriet the Spy and like lots of really fun, cool like little toys and things to trinket with. So, looking through like this wave of a shit show that this movie is, I'm like trying to pluck out these little things that are like kind of good. But
I kept trying to figure out, like, I had moments where I was watching the movie and I was like, you know what? And I would think like, it's not that bad. These acting choices aren't that bad. And then Kevin Kline did this like martial art thing where he was like, yo, and I was like, oh, this is bad. And then it got worse.
Yeah.
And then it fast forwarded to Will talking about slavery wasn't that bad. And I was like,
getting his Kanye West on.
What is going on? And it just continued to just fucking go down this. And I'm not trying to be like negative, but like, God damn, like they doubled down on so many things that I was just like, yep. I see why people say this movie sucks. Fuck.
Yeah. The thing is, Wild Wild West has potential. Like, I can see the vision of wanting to like do a movie like this. It's just that I feel like I've been watching We Crashed, and I watched the WeWork documentary. I feel like this is kind of like that, where like there was no checks and balances. It was like, okay, you guys did Men in Black, you did Independence Day, big blockbusters, here's 170 mil, have at it. And like, I think they needed to reel them in a little bit. Like, somebody needs to be like, hey, I don't know about this. Which the original actor from the TV show, he read the script and was like, I want no parts of this. This is not doing justice. Yeah. And I feel like that should have been a red flag. Like, if the OG person is like, you guys are fucking ruining what I built, then you should be like, maybe we should rewrite some stuff or rethink, recalibrate. And they didn't do that soon enough. So there's just so much in here that is just like, why? Like,
yeah. And it's hard because it's like, it's hard to chalk it up to acting choices because I feel like Will Smithed himself in this role. Like this role is similar to me to Men in Black and maybe even a little bit of Bad Boys because it had that like buddy cop dynamic, right? But is it chalked up to acting choices or is it chalked up to the writing of this movie and the things that they were approved to say, right?
Yeah.
Like the scene, Joe, that you were talking about where he was taken out of the brothel because he had mistaken a woman for Kevin Kline who had previously dressed up as a woman that looked very similar to that. And they just went through that whole booby exchange scene of buckwheat versus water of like, ooh, now touch my breasts. Ooh, I'm hard. You know, like funny conversations taken out of context. And he thought that that woman was played by his partner. And so he like drummed on her breasts. And so they're like, let's take him out. Let's hang him. And so he's like trying to talk his way out of this situation. To me, it, like acting choice wise, still felt a lot like it was Will Smith being funny, having those like, you know, I don't want to say juvenile, but just like he's the funny one. Kevin Kline's the serious one, just like he's the funny one in Men in Black, Tommy Lee Jones one.
See, I feel like this one missed with that dynamic. And Barry Sonnenfeld says in like this like behind the scenes director's thing, he was like, you know, I learned from this that you don't put two funny people in a movie together or something. Like there has to be a straight man. And I don't think either of them like knew who was doing which. Because for me, I felt like Will was like, he felt trepidatious, like he wasn't sure if, should I be funny, should I be serious? Like it felt like this weird in between with him, like where he wanted to be charismatic and like obviously the hotter of the two, the ladies man, but then there were moments where he's like, we got a job to do. And so I was just like, which one is it? Like he needed to pick. And then two, the way he spoke, I feel like for this to be kind of a period piece and not something that was like, this is the Wild Wild West, but
he
kind of modern.
Like he was from Philadelphia. Like I kind of like that he didn't do an accent. That he was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna sound like myself. But do you disagree?
I would have preferred that he like found some kind of voice for this character rather than Will Smithing his way through it. Like I don't know. It didn't. I feel like he wasn't fully his character in some ways.
Yeah, I would agree because like it was almost like when, you know, like for me when Django Unchained came out, you know, the complications with that movie, but like Jamie Foxx's character I felt was just Jamie Foxx, and it kind of took me out of the movie where I was like, at first he like had this build up. I was like, okay, cool, he's like Django, and then I was like, no, he's just Jamie Foxx, just doing Jamie Foxx, and that's, I kind of felt that way with like with this. It was like, oh, it's just Will just doing Will shit. And that's fine. It's like, that's why you hired him. That's why you got him, gave him, you know, X amount of dollars to do his thing. Because at a certain point, yeah, sure, you pay an actor to do their thing. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, well, you need the director to then step in and go, yeah, but this is the way we envisioned it. And yes, we're paying you a lot of money. Can you, and like literally, direct, just do your job.
Yeah.
That's it. Just do your job. Tell the actor, hey, I love this take. Can we try it this way? And then they're like, okay, I'm an actor. I can do that. Let me switch this shit up real quick. And if it doesn't work, okay, whatever. But and we don't know. We don't know what happened on set. But I have a feeling, like you said, like I have a feeling that Will kind of jumped in and he was like, well, I did these other two movies just this way. I'm going to do this one this way too. And it just didn't fucking work. But, you know, who knows? The writing, everything else was going on. You know, it's just like, it was a fucking goddamn train wreck, pun intended, from the beginning to.
I wonder if that just has to do with like the time or like the era of this movie being technically a period piece with some very advanced elements to it. Because I think a lot of people who watch Wild Wild West, I don't know if Django is the only thing that you can compare it to, but I think comfortably a lot of film goers might automatically chalk it up to in terms of like some of the uncomfortable pieces of the dialogue to it. And that's what I kind of found when I was watching it prior to this episode of like what separates this movie from Django. Because we know Quentin Tarantino as a director is covered and dripping in satire and comedy and humor with lots of that underlying tones of what like drives the plot to the movie. And then it's also these characters taking that narrative back into their own hands and driving the plot. Whereas this movie felt like it was like, I really felt as if Barry Sonnenfeld made this movie with all the seriousness intentions again, because he's like, fuck it, I can't make my Superman spider movie, so I'm just gonna make this like spaghetti western spider movie. And that, I think that's what the disconnect for me felt like of the pieces that didn't work, was that because it took itself seriously. And I'm like, why, as a viewer, it's uncomfortable to watch, but it's a different kind of uncomfortable to watch as a person watching Django, where you feel like Jamie Foxx's character, not so much Christoph Waltz or Leo, like Jamie has the power in this movie. And so watching Wild Wild West, I was like, I just, not that I want anyone to have, you know, their true, you know, like this like power dynamic or struggle, but yeah, I agree of like who plays the funny person, who plays the serious person. There was just like some missed signals thrown there.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I think it's interesting too, like if you think about it, like so far, like we've done Men in Black, Independence Day, and then Bad Boys, and then we'll get another Bad Boys soon, but like
Wait, really?
Yeah,
So
there's
it's
three.
coming out?
Well, yeah, they're gonna make another one after Bad Boys for Life. I think they both agreed to that. But
Okay.
Will has this interesting career, and like in his interviews also I forgot earlier, he was on Vanity Fair for Wild Wild West, but in his interviews, you know, he's always talking about like he's a crossover actor. Like he appeals to all plethoras of people, and he's not pigeonholed by his race. But like during this time of the 90s, you sort of have this amazing Black renaissance of movies. Like The Wood comes out this year, Love and Basketball comes out this year, and these are primarily Black casts. And I feel like this was a missed opportunity at this time to really, like, this is a play towards diversity in the cheapest way of like, we have this huge movie star we know is going to appeal to people, so let's slap him in this movie that's not at all supposed to have a Black character, but let's not do anything more to further that. Like, yeah, you have Salma Hayek, but like her race, nothing plays a part in that. And then you have the Asian character at the brothel, but in the background it's all just white men. And I'm like, this would have been amazing if like they had a mindset of like, now that we do that, this is like not real, this is fantasy, we could do whatever the fuck we want. Bridgerton can have like Black queens and Indian like high class people, and that's fine. And I wish they did that with this movie. I feel like it would have taken it to another place, and again, like play up the satire and the foolishness of it all. Like the suspension of disbelief in this movie is like too high to climb, where it's like, I'm supposed to be invested in this plot against the president, but we've got, you know, giant steam machines and dudes with crazy funky facial hair, and like, I just, what? So
Also, the guy with the ear. I want to light that ear thing on fire so that it scorches his brain.
yeah, like I don't think that was necessary. Like it's cool to see steampunk things or like, you know, the gadgets and stuff, but like that was just like, really? Like, are we supposed?
Also an editor choice too. It's like, oh, you're gonna put that in the movie?
To be gross, to be a fucking weirdo.
Like, wow.
I mean, yeah, when he turns that upside down and all of his little gross earwax drips out of it, like it's tobacco spit almost. But I mean, they also have that little gag where McGrath, right? Wait.
Yeah, McGrath.
So
Mark McGrath.
Bloodbath McGrath is on the
Tim
like
McGrath?
Tim McGraw, where Bloodbath McGrath is on the like steamship with Loveless and his like harem of ladies, which I kind of liked that he was just like
that was cool.
Anyways, but he like when Loveless had shot McGrath and he fell down on the boat, and there was that little black and white dog that sat by it. It was the like, oh, you see what they did there? It looked like the Victrola advertisement for the like original Crank vinyl record players of the black and white dog sitting by and listening to the like phonograph like music speaker player of like see what they did there. But I thought that was such a choice that they decided to have that, and he was just
the head projector. I was like, even his character's like, bro, that's somebody's head. Like,
I know, like, what?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, like, I liked the gadgets of the movie, not to say that they're all believable, because your suspension of disbelief is all obviously like, well, that's dumb. Like, the last thing you see before you die is, like, imprinted on your eyeballs. And then Will Smith is like, oh, it's blurry because he wears glasses, fool, and, like, puts it over his eyes. And then now they can hyper see this image of this phonograph man like standing over him with the Captain Marvel like spider shield over him, like
really advanced for the times.
See, it's like we're supposed to believe that we're in this not quite gold rush era, but this like post-Civil War early reconstruction of the US, but yet we have all of this advanced technology. It's like, make up your mind. What do you want?
Yeah.
Also too,
sorry, no, go ahead. I was just fucking wondering, what the fuck is the Superman movie supposed to be like that he was gonna put together? What? Now I
want that to be.
I would have loved to have been in the room for the pitch when Barry's like we walked in. He's like, hear me out. Cage's Superman, he fights a really big spider, and they're like, I don't know, like Superman doesn't really historically fight spiders. He's like, but like, wouldn't that be so cool? And he was just like, no, they're like, no, like Barry.
What's his thing with spiders though?
I mean, Superman. How the fuck would he not just beat the shit out of it and be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna throw this thing into fucking Deep Space Nine.
He's just gonna laser eyes all those.
Is he gonna fucking have an existential crisis after he kills the spider in the first 30 seconds of the movie, and then that's what we're watching? Because there's no fight. It's just him killing the spider.
Totally, and it's like that's also what cracks me up is like, if you were to play a drinking game, just drink every time you see a fucking spider, anytime they say spider. Like the Confederate flag spider thing that Kenneth Branaugh, Dr. Loveless, had behind him. I'm like, that's the closest that they could do with doing a Confederate flag without actually having.
I know, I noticed that too. I was like, yeah.
Can we talk about his party?
Yeah. Let's do it.
I don't know.
Exploding link.
Right?
His entrance to like Abraham Lincoln.
I thought you for sure would have been inspired by that party. I was like, Simona's taking notes.
I almost used that as my opening line of like, but I don't want to get like too spicy. So I'm gonna read the dialogue as it appears on screen. Are you guys ready? Can I do a Southern accent? Is that allowed?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
On your show.
All right. So Abraham Lincoln's head just exploded, and he goes, "Oh, don't we just hate that song because they're saying the meaning of the glory of the Lord, hey, to better have the glory of the Lord." He goes, "Y'all look like you've just seen a ghost. It's me, dear friend, alive and well and kicking. I am anyways. We may have lost the war, but heaven knows we haven't lost our sense of humor. You know not, even when we lost alone, a spleen, a bladder, 2 legs, 35 feet of small intestine, and our ability to reproduce, all in the name of the South. Do we ever lose our sense of humor? Now, we owe a deep debt gratitude to our friends from across the sea for their comfort and kindness. So, I must say, sir,
my ancestors just smacked me upside the head.
I do declare we have not lost our sense of humor. We may have lost the war, but we have...
It's giving me Blanche Devereaux. Like...
Also, he's like, you don't think I can please a woman? It was like some giant like dildo thing. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh my god, I wrote that down.
His big pee-pee dildo. And when Kevin Kline free Salma Hayek from that like sex cage, did we not just skip past the like BDSM like bed situation that Loveless has?
The kink.com
like, come on,
warehouse.
big boy, slap me and call me Nancy.
He said
supervision is required.
He said, "Do you think I can't devise of something hard pumping?" Like I was just like,
he's so gross. He is what I like to call a creepy son.
"Oh my
Like,
god."
use your mouth and eat my UTI, bitch.
Yeah, he was a hot mess. Like,
but you know what? He was having fun popping those. Let's just say he was like constantly doing some 360 rotation.
He's like, you want to go to the skate park? I reckon. I will show you what I am made of.
Oh my god.
This movie proved that if you have an idea, you should follow your dream because this was made.
You know what? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If you ever had a dream ever.
You just have to have the audacity of a white man.
Yeah, there you go. Wild Wild West was made.
Yeah.
And funded. So
Geely was made.
Yeah. Jesus. Hot sauce. Yeah. Geely was made. Wow, I thought it was Geely.
Geely.
I was like, Giggly. Oh, okay, cool. I'll pass on that one, but you know.
Joe, on my next visit to LA, we'll watch it.
I'm down.
I'm so down.
I'm down.
Wait, am I invited?
Yeah, Bria and I are gonna come down.
Really
it's turkey time. Gobble gobble.
It's turkey time. Gobble.
Should I bring my VHS?
Oh,
Should
yeah,
we
bring
kick
your
it old
Geely
school?
VHS. I'll bring my VHS player. We'll hook it up. Bria's really good at like figuring out where the red wire, white wire goes.
So if we don't have that on our TV anymore, is there an adapter for that?
Yeah, he's just said that.
I think so. We'll Amazon it. We'll come
We
prepared.
got the cords. Yeah. I have a bag of my dad's cords from my house, and
bring over a big old bag of cords.
I thought you were gonna say I have a bag of candy to bring to watch it, but that's fine.
I also have candy.
Both of you podcast vixens are welcome to visit anytime this summer, so we can watch Geely and eat candy and be weird. So I'm just saying, we have a spare bedroom.
Me and you, Julie, can go stalk the Real Housewives.
Girl,
we should go to Pump.
Okay, I've been to Pump, Sir, Tom, all that dumb shit. Let's go.
Oh my God! Wait, Tom fits Wild Wild West because it's like all steampunky, right?
Steampunky, and also the sandwich, like something about her. Yeah, that's so all the Tom, Sir, Pump. That's like a 6-minute drive from us, but then
that's like a 10-minute walk. Well,
not 10-minute walk. It's 20-minute walk.
20-minute walk. Oh yeah.
Oh my God!
Right.
Yes. Book it. Oh man. Okay, Wild Wild West, the magical classic.
So I've been pretty fucking negative Nancy. If I had to pull anything positive,
the way you're saying it.
I'm trying. I'm really trying. I mean, it's like we just watched it and dumpster fire.
Yeah.
But if I had to pull anything positive,
the power of Will.
I mean, Will in his prime. I still think, despite the slap, I feel like he's just going for some mental health shit. Which, I mean, I'm not condoning violence, has such charismatic presence on screen that despite the dumpster fire that this movie is, I didn't want to like jump out the fucking window.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't him, if it was anyone else in this movie, I wouldn't have been able to get through it. I'm good. I'm not watching.
Yeah.
He did deliver that much to the movie, which is saying a lot because it's really fucking hard to carry a movie. Like,
yeah.
By popular belief, people are like, oh, I can do that too. And it's like, okay, bitch, here's a script, carry this movie. And they're like, oh, and they're like, yeah, acting's hard, bitch. Acting's fucking hard.
Yeah, it is not easy. I mean, Mel Gibson was allegedly set to be James West, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then Tom Cruise was also attached.
Okay,
to
I could see Tom Cruise just in terms of like the
stunts.
Yeah. But Mel
But it would have been like Mission
Gibson.
Impossible. It would have been like Mission Impossible Wild Wild West.
Also, as for stunts, like I know he did a bunch of shit on the train, but
Yeah.
I will say when he lands on the end caboose or front of the train, I don't know what end it was.
Does the backflip?
And don't tell me that was all Will Smith.
Oh, it's so funny. And then when they're like two little magnet like collars and stuff, like they run away from each other and then they like are swung back into one another.
What did
It's
they jump in?
Was
When
it
they
mud.
jumped- Was that poop?
Oh.
No, it was like muddy.
It looked like poop.
It
I
looked
thought it was poop when he
No,
was
because
like,
it was like a Grand
I thought
Canyon
it was
kind
like
of.
dinosaur poop. I was like, okay, we're in a completely different time. It's like a prehistoric age.
Prehistoric.
Why did they jump in dinosaurs?
it was his cis face really that sold it, that something stanked. Because he wasn't just like, okay, this is gross. He was like,
Right. It was just like, we're in shit.
I look at the face, like I smell some piss.
Whole feces, like right
Yeah.
now. Sucks. This movie was all over the place. It's like,
It is.
yeah. I
how did
mean,
they even get the collars off? They never showed how they got them
didn't.
off.
He like Kevin Smith or Kevin Smith. Kevin
I
Kline.
wish Kevin Smith was in this movie. That'd be hilarious.
I know. Artemus
Hitchcock
Gordon all of a sudden was just like, oh yeah, whoops, I had this little thing in my
Oh, no, it's
pocket.
Kevin James.
He
Sorry,
must have
I'm sorry.
not have like checked it for me, and it was like floating in the muddy waters, and he was just like, what? Well, how come Loveless didn't find it? It like what about if it would have like came out your ass? And he was like, oh, that was the first place that he would have looked. So turns out Artemus Gordon was like packing his little tools the entire time, and that whole thing was just a little funny comedic bit that the two of them went through.
yeah. See,
Play.
It was nice play.
Was there any improv?
You know,
not noted, which
Yeah.
usually is for Will. Most
yeah,
of
Yeah.
he's
his
really infamous for doing some just like off the cuff improvised lines. Yeah, I don't know.
Which is why I feel like he felt stifled. Like he wasn't sure. Because, like, this would have been a great movie for him to say some, like, off the cuff shit and, like, get away with it. Because it's so out there.
I feel like the only part that he could have been improving was the slavery part.
I hope he didn't
The
improv
worst
that.
part. Because I felt like he was in that moment. They just like, hey, just go. And he was like, how am I just gonna go talking about this shit? What the fuck? And I feel like I felt uncomfortable, as uncomfortable as he would have been in that position delivering those lines. I'm like, if I would have been like handed this script, I would have been like, oh, we're shooting this. Can we just cut this from the film? Because this sucks.
Yeah. It was mostly, for me, it was mostly the, like, you know, hey, I don't blame you guys. Like, I too wouldn't want to get up and pick cotton. Like, look at you. Is your, like, and I was just like, whoa.
Is gonna wake up every day and
Yeah. I was just like, oh, no, they should have cut that. That should have been, like, and
yeah.
Will as the star and, you know, all that, I feel like he probably had the power to be like, I don't think we should leave this in. I think we should nix this
Agreed.
part.
I wonder if it was because of the rating. This movie only has a PG-13, and so they said shit quite a bit in this movie, but that was pretty much it.
How?
They
We
were-
saw ass.
we saw some ass, but we didn't see full titty, and so ass believe it or not, is in a different category of breasts in terms of
Wow.
PG-13 rating, and then you're allowed one F for PG-13, and then you're allowed like a certain amount of
it's two now.
shits.
I think it's 2F.
Okay.
That's the new PG-13.
But at the
You can say
time,
fuck
it was
twice.
not. At the time, you
Or no, you can say fuck, or you can do this. One. You can do the fucking
bird.
sign. So they did it in a Marvel movie. They did it in
Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm guessing.
It's like,
Yeah. Because that's a spicy
Oh.
Marvels movie, you know? Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I wonder if, like, the language of this movie has to do with its rating. Because, again, like, there are obvious implications of using the N-word where they don't. And, again, that's where like, uncomfortable setting feelings of it comes from.
That was another thing I felt was unnecessary because, like, unlike Django, I feel like it didn't add to, like, the setting and the tone of the movie. Like,
Yeah.
it just felt gratuitous in some ways.
Yes, I agree.
And I was just like, we didn't have to do that. Like,
we didn't have
again,
to get there and now
yeah,
we're here. So
it's all pretend. Let's not add that into this. Like, and it didn't help the story anyway. It's not like James West was like some character that was like, even with Django, it's like, oh, there's a black bounty hunter? Like, what? Like, people weren't surprised at, like, his showing up to things or, like, appalled. And, like, that's what you needed to sell, like, the necessity of that kind of, like, language or whatever, because it's just like, you guys clearly accept him. It wasn't until he banged on some titties that you were like, hang him. And even that, it's like, why do we have to escalate to that? You could just kick him out of the saloon. Like,
exactly. I feel like the world building a lot more, like you said, like, there was these fantastical things that were happening, and there was also the present day of whatever was going on. But I felt like the world building really suffered. Whoever built that world, or, you know, all the themes of that world, could have gone so much further and been like, well, fuck it, let's have all different types of people be here, and like, let's really expand and like make this our own thing, as opposed to being like, oh, we're so restricted by
the time period
and the historical thing. But it's like, you weren't restricted by this with these fucking machines and this time, but like, you were restricted by the time frame. But Will Smith is just being himself, and also this shit doesn't make sense.
It's true. They pick and chose what they wanted to really emphasize in this movie, and I feel like this movie boasts more about the like spider contraptions. Again, I think it's Sonnenfeld being like, fuck you, bitch, I'm getting my spider shit. I'm getting my money's worth out of this spider crap. And and with the big overarching, when you like step back and look at the picture of the mechanical moving spider, yeah, that's CGI, but like inside the spider, that's like real effects. That's like real gears working and swinging from chains and stuff like that. They really put their effort towards there rather than building this world and building that believability of the audience.
Yeah. That's a great way to say it, Jeff. The world building was just not there.
Wild Wild West. I want my spiders.
Also, random thought: the girl that got titty slapped, wasn't she a prostitute or a sex worker at the saloon?
It was at more of like a southern uppity rich party. I don't think so. That took place at a couple of scenes later.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be more of like a costume party. So that's when like Will and Kline, or West and Artemus and West and Gordon were like arguing about what they were going to dress up as undercover wise for that party. And, you know, West had decided to show up as a cowboy. Mm-hmm. And then Gordon, instead of doing undercover as a woman as he did in the previous saloon scene, had done a like pelt hunter. He looks more like French Canadian, maybe.
Yeah, because he was like American, so he wasn't.
Yeah, I think he was French, which goes in the timeline of American history at this point. So.
One part I did like at the end was when Mr. Spider-Man Loveless is fighting with West, and he was like, oh, you don't think I could have legs? And, you know, he rises his, yeah, he has his hydraulic legs, and Artemis shoots him, and he's like, ha, you missed. And he's like, no, I didn't. And so his hydraulic fluid starts leaking and stuff, and he like starts falling down, and all that popped in my head was like, he hit the flow. Next thing you know, shutting out low, because he's just like,
Okay, question. What if Spider-Man No Way Home, Loveless shows up and he's just like, oh, I thought we were... Whoa, excuse me here. I thought we were the Spider-Man showing up to this party.
Why didn't Barry Sonnenfeld pitch a Spider-Man movie for his fucking wet dream?
Why Superman versus a spider? Just do Spider-Man. I feel like that's what you wanted to do in the first place.
He did not have the courage.
Just do a Spider-Man movie.
Man. I think the MCU would have made it work.
If Loveless just showed up,
I think so.
Such a fucking deep cut for people who know this movie.
Yeah.
But for everyone else, it would have just been a like, oh, that was funny. And then people would have known, like, oh shit, that was from Wild Wild West. Oh damn. Like,
in his chair, he shows up. He's like, with great power comes great responsibility.
and they would have like chucked him into like the sea or some shit like that. Like Doc Ock would have been like, nah, bye.
Doc Ock's like, there's only one room for someone who looks like another creature, and that's me, bitch. Just like flings him over the side.
Missed opportunity.
That's all, folks.
Seriously. All right. Shall we begin to wrap up? Bria, I feel like, I mean, was there anything else you wanted to talk about, like acting or?
Let's see. I mean, no. I will say we've been talking about Will's looks, and I do think that he had some looks in this movie. And
I loved the outfits. I mean, granted, y'all know me, I'm like more of a like alternative, weird, quirky girl. I love anything. I'm not a steampunk person. I don't have like a collection of steampunk shit like some people really get into. But as a vibe, as a former Hot Topic bitch, it's something that I really appreciate. And visually, I liked a lot of the outfits and stuff in this movie. And I really liked Will's ensembles. There was a lot of, I mean, it kind of paralleled, if you will, to the Matrix, just minus the trench coat. It was like all black. It was kind of like this like gothic steampunk cowboy kind of way of dressing. I loved the fits in this movie.
Yeah.
Will's movie, at least.
I mean, look, I love Will. I really do. He's like literally one of my inspirations to acting, but I feel like it would have given it a tone of, I just feel like Keanu Reeves is he's such a great fucking person, but he's also a blank slate. Whereas Will Smith is going to bring personality. Not that Keanu Reeves can't. I'm not slamming him. I'm just saying like he would have brought so much personality to Neo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you tone that down? Like,
right. It's like, how do you make Will Smith, like, I Am Legend was probably the most toned down I've seen Will ever. And, or Pursuit of Happiness. But like, I Am Legend would have been like, oh, okay, cool. This is like the toned down version of himself. Like, he's not playing himself. He's playing this dude who's, going through some shit and he needs to fight these.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I feel like he can't do serious and like action together, but Enemy of the State, I feel like was pretty good in that combination. But I feel like maybe he can't do like serious action sci-fi together. It has to be like some kind of comedic relief in like a sci-fi universe for him or something. Although, what's that movie with him and Jaden?
Gemini, and it's not After Earth.
Yeah,
I skipped that one.
I haven't seen it either, but I'm curious because that's a sci-fi movie, so I'm curious if we'll get a serious sci-fi take from him in that versus like something that's charismatic. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, M. Night did After Earth. Interesting. I mean, we'll watch it for the show, so I look forward.
We'll find out soon enough.
All right. So, one of the kind of last things that we do for our show is if you would make a cocktail and snack spread inspired by Wild Wild West, what would you make?
I think for my drink, it's going to be straight moonshine because I feel like to par. And I also feel like I'm going to be so disgusted by smelling my own pits. And smelling other people's pits. And I'm very sensitive to smell. So like, I just want moonshine, so I'm a little fucked up and not dealing with it.
And blind.
Okay.
Yeah, a little blind. And
no, it'll make you go blind.
Oh.
Like moonshine's what it does. Like,
I've had it.
Like straight.
No, like the traditional this era of moonshine. If you drink too much of it because it was so unfiltered and like literally made in a bathtub with no hygienics, it will make you go blind.
Well, I guess I'm not going to see or feel anything after this cocktail. And then, I'm thinking,
That's what you have to do after watching Wild Wild West.
That's the plug.
and I'm
honestly.
thinking for the snack. I know it wasn't a dish at the time, but I'm thinking because I'm pretty adventurous in the kitchen, you might say. So I'm thinking of some tarantula tempura as my snack.
Ooh, a little crunchy spider leg.
Wow.
It's like a soft shell crab, I guess. And then there's some ponds.
I mean, listen, when you put a crab kind of all splayed out, deep fried, it would look like
Yeah.
that.
And I feel like the text light, little crispy, like snack, and no one else is eating them, so I take a lot to myself.
Okay.
That's my. What would your drinking snack be for the area?
Shit. Not that.
Okay.
My drink of choice would probably be something similar to moonshine. I'd go like a cactus, like kind of whatever juice, and like maybe a little vodka, maybe a little like almost like island time, like kind of maybe like a rum drink with like cactus juice. I don't know if that's good. Then sugar. I feel like sugar just masks everything. So you're just like,
Yeah.
cactus juice and look sugar and like put a little citrus in there and like you won't taste a thing. Like, oh, if I just drank cactus juice, this is awful. But I'm dying in the desert, so I need to do something.
The brothel quenched my thirst.
Yeah.
Hydrated me. I need that.
So I would do that for the cocktail.
The cocktail.
The food, I would do like a seafood kind of display with like a lot of octopus.
We're talking legs, okay?
We're serving legs
of tarantula. I'm actually arachnophobic, which all of talk of spiders, like this is how much this movie did not affect me because I am terrified of spiders. And I was like, this movie ain't shit.
Wow.
Impressive.
So I would not be okay with cooking a tarantula.
It's dead. I'm taking every random like
It doesn't matter. If it's in the house and it's dead, I fucking want to burn the house down.
But it's already dead. I'm gonna cook it. I'm gonna deep fry it tempura stuff, and it's gonna be.
Doesn't matter. Like set that thing on fire. Get the fuck out of here.
Where are you gonna get that in fucking Utah? Go ahead.
We'll ship it. Fry it and we'll do it live. Yeah, so there's that. It doesn't make sense, but that's what I'm doing.
Okay, mine made a little sense. But anyway, I might say, I know that wasn't a traditional dish, but I felt like I could have mustered up enough tarantulas to have the tempura buffet.
I won't be eating there.
That'll be all you, Julie. No competition.
With your aloe drink.
My brothel? Apparently I have a brothel now? When did I acquire this?
I don't know, but where are you getting all these drinks from?
Where are you getting your drink from?
The brothel.
Brothel. It's like instead of we have a zoo, we have a brothel.
We have a zoo. We have a brothel.
We bought a zoo. We bought a brothel.
We bought a brothel. Bria, what would your snack or cocktail be? Or your specialty cup?
I have two drinks. So originally I was like, oh, this is definitely cause to have some kind of smoked bourbon steampunk thing going on here. And it has to be like in some kind of steampunky cloche, sell it. And then hearing all this talk of spiders, I was like, I definitely need a margarita with like a gummy spider on it. So a little bit of both. And then food-wise, when they jumped in that mud shit, whatever that was, I was just like, that really looks like chili. So chili is my snack, which will make you poop.
Almost instantaneously.
Simone, your snack and cocktail spread?
All right, as you know, I was extra. I looked up a recipe for this one. I was originally thinking like a bourbon or a moonshine inspired cocktail, but this one I looked up, it's called a barking spider because there is something called a tarantula tequila. It's Tarantula Azul tequila, and it's an actual brand. I don't know if you can find it at your Bevmo or your Total Wine stores, but it's a blue tequila. And so it's a shot of tarantula blue tequila, a shot of blue carousel liqueur, a shot of Bacardi 151, a dash of triple sec, a dash of sweet and sour, and a splash of OJ. So I'm going with the barking spider on this one. And for my snacks, don't ask me, but whenever I think of Wild Wild West, I think of the saloons and I think of people just eating like peanuts in bars. So I'm just going like peanuts.
I agree. I think like I try to not baby octopus.
It doesn't have to be of the time, just like fit the movie.
Yeah, to fit the mood, fit the movie. You definitely need something heavier to pair with the barking spider.
My chili.
What about tarantula jerky?
No. Why do we keep bringing spiders into this?
I mean, I was thinking like a spider gummy or like a worm gummy of some kind, but I know they have the octopus gummy. As we know, we're big fans.
Give me a spider gummy for like a topper. I'd throw that drink halfway across the goddamn.
No, you wouldn't.
I just
no, you
wouldn't.
wouldn't. You would throw it anywhere.
I would be like, I don't want that. That's what I would really do. I'd be like, I don't want that. I mean, I wouldn't throw it at someone. I would throw it across the room where no one was.
Okay, give that drink to me. I will.
You're saying that when we visit you and we kindly make you a spider.
Do anything spider related. That's my phobia.
No,
and I also freak the fuck out. If there's like a spider like this fucking big, I'm like, let's burn the house down.
Yeah, I want to be slept on the couch for 2 nights by himself.
Yeah.
That I killed with my hands.
Yeah, Leah's like that too. I was always the spider hunter sibling, and she would always be like crying in the corner of the bathroom. She's like, help, there's the biggest spider, and it's like this tiny little thing. I'm like, got it. And I like pick it up with my bare hands.
You can't fight a phobia. It's just
I get it.
Fun of you.
It's an unnatural
No, you're
fear
scared of spiders. I'm scared of dying alone. I get it. We all have our.
Is that a phobia?
Oh yeah. I mean, I already know I'm gonna out.
Okay, Wolverine.
I am. I've told you this our whole time. I said I will outdie.
Leave it to Scorpio to be like, I'm gonna outlive everyone out of spite. I'm gonna live the longest, bitch. You and Bria are gonna live to be like 110 years old.
I mean,
again.
For me, it's more so I'm afraid of being like the last one left, and you're like, fuck everyone else that like I grew up with, or like, you know, is of my age and whatnot, is gone, and I'm just here with these whippersnappers who don't even give 2 shits about the Wild Wild West.
That's how I feel too.
All right, well, and on that note, Bria, do you wanna close us out?
Sure. I did want to ask though.
Go ahead.
Do we possibly think that maybe some kooky kid would want to remake Wild Wild West?
This movie, okay, it could it was like kind of like our conversation with Django. Django's not a remake of Wild Wild West. That's not what I'm trying to say. But like in a modern day equivalent to it, it's the closest thing we have as far as my limitations of cinematic history. Now, could this movie be remade?
You can't be worse than this though. That's what
dialogue wise, you can't have like premise wise, sure, why not with like pairings of this, like, you know, like with having like a black lead actor and all that stuff, like totally, absolutely, that makes sense. But in terms of the shit that they signed off as a script that was like, yeah, this makes sense for a movie, this is green light, approved by me, those jokes, I can't say it, those jokes cannot stand within 2022.
Well,
no, you know what I mean? Like, that is one of those things of like, it's the cringiness of the dialogue of like, wow, 1999 really thought that this was fucking funny and they got away with it. That I don't think that could happen again. But a premise of like a spaghetti western retelling of a story, like Bridgerton remix, if you will, you know, that 100%, yeah, that could work.
Well, not Machine Gun. Post Malone. Let him know.
Hey, there we go. Okay, real talk. If you took the
Lil Nas X could be.
No. If you took the
I like that.
I like Lil Nas X as Jim West.
If you took The Harder They Fall and Django Unchained and 1,000 Ways to Die in the West and blended that shit in a blender, and then said, hey, we're going to do a remake of this, and it's going to be some serious tones, but it's also going to be satire. So we're going to have like Idris Elba be West.
Yes, I can see that too.
We're going to have Zazie Beetz as the female lead. We're going to have fucking... Man, I mean,
G-Eazy.
Jonathan. I mean, all I can think is like Jonathan Majors as like fucking
yes, Lakeith Stanfield.
Oh yeah,
as Loveless. Oh my God, yes.
He's such a good bad guy, and I think he's probably one of the most fun people to hang out with. Like, I want to hang out with him so bad, especially after seeing him on the Eric Andre show. I'm like, he's not a serious guy. He doesn't take himself seriously at all. I'm like,
he's like Keanu. He's the black Keanu.
He really is.
See, he's not a bad guy, and sorry to bother you.
No, he's not. But then, like,
no.
I think you can take a blank slate, and like, and this is not like slamming on Keanu's acting or slamming on Lakeith's acting, because they're both phenomenal actors. This is just saying we can take it and put them in an everyman situation and go, all right, cool, you're in this, and they go, yep, okay, and we believe it.
Yeah.
Either one of those actors, we fucking believe it. Or like, you know, even Tom Hanks had that for a moment. Like when he did like Road to Perdition, I was like, damn, Tom Hanks would be fucking gangster. If you haven't seen that, watch Road to Perdition.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't.
Tom Hanks, Jude Law, holy fuck! Like, I never knew Tom Hanks to be a badass before, but like that's that movie. But yeah, so if we were to remake this movie now, yeah, obviously dialogue fucking fully written, unless we're literally satiring the first movie. Like, making fun of the fact that they were so wrong on so many levels and doubling down on that and being like, hey, we're really gonna family guy this shit.
I look at this like the 90s Batmans. Like, they got a little wieldy with like the satire and like the dramatics, and I'm totally blanking on the word, but like they were just so avant-garde and just out there that it was just like, okay, we gotta reel this back, and Christian Bale is gonna be Batman. And
interesting concept. Okay, so because when you think about it, this does have the silliness and the goofiness as we see in those 90s Batmans with Val Kilmer and Michael Keaton and
George Clooney.
George Clooney. So this kind of teeters along that same line of very like campiness and cheesiness. And so it's like reeling it in of like, all right, let's try it again. But we're going to Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan it, and we're going to make it more serious. So would it work on a serious level?
Well, I mean, think about the Bel Air. It's like that's a drama now. It's like like a dramedy. But
and Idris Elba was just in a new like serious series that takes place in this kind of similar time era, right? It's like
The Harder They Fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is like a whole bunch of black actors as black cowboys and cowgirls, Regina King and Lakeith and Jonathan.
That movie, it's fucking amazing.
Yes, it is beautiful. That's something I wish they would maybe put in theaters now that things are opening, because it deserves to be seen.
It literally deserves to be seen like
IMAX.
Put that shit out there. Like, I would pay money again, even if it's on Netflix. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna support this shit because this is fucking dope.
Yeah. So I think it can be remade. It's just you're not basically remaking this. You're taking the essence of the TV show and then completely like new script, new plot, and maybe some bad wink nods at this hot mess, but, you know, totally different direction. Will was 29. I'm 29, and I was like, damn, what am I doing with my life?
25.
Yeah, he was 29. I don't know how old Salma was. I think she's a little younger than him, so...
Yeah, so Salma was born in, give me just 1 second, 66. So 99. She was 33.
Oh, okay, girl. You look like you're younger than him. And then Kevin, how old was he?
Kline was
1947.
Woof, he is older.
He was 52?
Wait, he was not 50.
Wait,
1947.
He was. Wait, Julie, your mom was born 47? No.
No, that's my dad. My dad was born 47, so this
Okay.
makes sense because my dad was 45 when I was born, and in 1999 I was 10.
So he was 57. Shit.
Wow.
The math is mathing on that
Math
equation.
is mathing hard, but my dad was born in 47. Yeah, well, my mom's 64 now.
Mine too, I think.
Yeah, and then my dad's 78.
Okay.
Wow.
Damn. Kevin Kline, I mean, for the age that he was apparently doing this, looks pretty good.
Yeah.
He probably dyed his hair, but
In
like,
his 50s in this movie, that's kind of crazy.
it's pretty good. And I have a lot of respect for Kevin Kline. I mean, he's also like one of those thespian actors. He does similar to like Kenneth Branaugh. Like they've done some serious stuff, they've done some goofy stuff, and I have a lot of respect for both of them. I don't know when Kenneth read the script, if he was like, yeah, sure, sounds good to me, or if he thinks back on this and being like, I'm so sorry. Like,
I think everyone regrets this. Like, I think
Yeah.
Salma said that she felt underutilized,
Yeah.
and Kenneth Branaugh like felt like he was better than this role in this movie.
totally.
And obviously, Will has said plenty of times in interviews that this was like his biggest, worst film, biggest mistake of his career. Yeah. And yeah, I don't think anyone's like, you know what? Wild Wild West sucked, but I stand by my decision to do that. Yeah. Everyone's like, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh boy. All right. And on that note, Bria, let's go for it.
We leaving? Thank you for listening to this week's episode, and to the people who've stuck with us so far through this steampunk circus. Please come back for another episode of Dr. Loveless's version of Inside the Actor's Studio.
But if you do like us enough to stick around, take another deep dive down this IMDb rabbit hole with us as we discuss Will Smith's second wave of music with albums like Big Willie Style and Millennium.
Yes, and on that note, if you've got nothing better to do, may you all go right off on a big mechanical spider into the sunset and go figure out a theme to watch a bunch of movies you've never seen.
I'm your host, Simone. Please leave us a like if you are into it. And Julie and Joe, where may the good people find you if they are interested?
At my house. Here's my address. You can find me on the gram at JulieCGXO. And if you want to see me pretending to be a grocery daddy or a grocery father, you can find me on the TikTok, also at JulieCGXO. And what about you? You have more link trees to share.
Not really. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, same deal. If you want to find me on the gram or Twitter or honestly all things related to social media, TikTok. Go to at Blackneto, BLACKNETO_. And also, if you want to find me on the YouTube, if you're into nerdy things, I am a blurred, and I do all blurry things. On my YouTube, I play D&D, Magic Gathering, tabletop. Jocks will be your venture to escape. And subscribe, like, comment, do all the things, and have some fun.
Hey,
Yeah.
maybe when they come to LA, we can do a tabletop jocks episode where we do.
We play board games on the show. Also have a scripted show coming, and even a cosplay runway show that I'm, hopping around, like kind of like a RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, I love Drag Race. It's like Drag Race meets Face Off meets Comic-Con.
Yes, that's exactly. Yeah.
We love a blurred of all trades. You go, Joe. And on that note, if you happen to also want to follow us, you can find us at Roll Call Pod on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and my favorite, Twitter. And leave a like, subscribe, review, all that stuff. And this has been another episode of
Roll Call. Wiki wiki wow, wiki wiki wow wow.
Also, if you guys put in the code tarantula at Hot Topic, you'll get free.
Just free steampunk gear.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Maybe we'll have a Wild Wild West t-shirt on Redbubble by then.
And the shirt just says like what the fuck is happening with like a giant mechanical spider.
What West?
What West? Question mark?
Make West great again.
I love it. Let me write that down.
Oh my goodness. And I'm gonna cut right there.
Make West great.
Oh wait, no. Just stop the recording.